Okay.
Okay. All right. Welcome everyone to the February 4th Water and Sewer meeting. Would someone like to make a motion to accept the minutes of January 7th?
I'm,
Okay, so moved. The minutes have been accepted. Review and sign water and sewer commitments.
You just,
So the commitments have been signed, so we're okay. The water commitment is $168,507.86. In the water sewer meter and fixed, $263,426.40 for a total of $431,934.26. So recorded. Thank you. Mike Canales to discuss the bid package for installing water and water and sewer mains. Michael?
well, so we put this on and I sent you an email, but we wanted to talk about just the process, and we talked about it in our last DPW meeting about the process like Great Barrington uses moving forward with installing water mains and using the emergency procurement like and going out to bid like they do for emergency and blah, blah, blah.
So does the town of Lee. So it's quite common and it's something we can easily do. You put out an RFP, you set up the time response, and whenever we have water breaks, other, minor issues happening with either of the systems, that allows us to bring somebody in. You don't have to worry now, is the project going to be over 50? You've already pre-bid a person for this type of work. It doesn't alleviate the issue of procurement for larger projects, that we still have to follow those rules, but it would allow us to just bring in and make sure that we're fully compliant. It gets your response time, I believe, Great Barrington.
1 hour.
1 hour.
Yeah.
And you're really looking for that group that can come in and do an emergency repair, whether it's water or sewer.
But I think we want to move forward more.
Right. So the one thing that they do, and I think is included in that, is emergency service is a part of it, but it's also they get all the rates for, whatever, gravel and trucking and everything.
Yeah.
It's a comprehensive unit price.
Yeah, so they install water mains they do a couple roads every year with Wilkinson. But I believe what Barrington Fire District does is they buy all the stuff and then they pay, whatever the Wilkinson's goes and gets trucking if they get the blacktop. I mean, Barrington might pay for the blacktop, but they pay for the trucking, they pay for the laborers, they pay for the machine doing the digging. So we'll have to go over it in a little more detail. I haven't read it. It's 20 pages long. It's quite a document. So, and I can talk to Pete down there and see how because once they go out to bid with they're good for the year and they can use them doing all their digging and everything. But if they get over a certain number, I know
There's going to be certain thresholds
Yeah,
that are going to kick in that still require you to take an individual project out. So we just have to be conscious of that.
Yeah.
If you have a $250,000 project, you just can't put it under.
Oh, no, these would all be.
That's what I mean by your smaller little side projects and emergency repair. That's what that's covering.
Yeah.
It's not covering large projects.
No.
Because that's what I was going to start asking about also, is about as far as buying material, how are we going to buy material in our budget, or we're going to have to.
We have that special article set up now where we can buy the piping and all that stuff.
Good, okay.
So, I put together Sergeant Street, Park Street and Yale Hill Road as examples of all the stuff we'll need. And Yale Hill Road is $32,000 if I ordered the stuff tomorrow. Pipe, all the brass for the services, everything, but that's not digging the blacktop out, repaving.
That's why this would work for us.
Yeah. Good. So those are smaller projects that's the cost of probably the labor and all that and trucking and re-blacktopping is probably not going to be as much as the Material would be, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, and the other issue, if you don't go out for procurement, when you hit certain thresholds with people and you use them, you can't continue to use them. So you can actually get to a point where you've done enough work with one that you have, but this contract would allow you just to use the,
Yeah.
whatever company would bid to come in and do as much work.
Yeah.
Under the provisions.
No, with this would have to be rebid every year.
It would be
Yes.
rebid.
Okay.
You have to update the prevailing wage, you have to update,
Mhm.
all those parts, and then you rebid it. Once we get one in place, then it's pretty much, you just go out with it, same with the sludge one that we have.
Right.
We'll go out this year, we'll just update the prevailing wage sheet, we'll update the information that goes out with it, and then we'll put it out for 3 years. With those emergency ones, it's usually, I think it's usually a year.
Yeah.
You can also do that if you have enough work within the building for like plumbers. If you have enough buildings in the town, you might have a plumber that you pre-bid, for things like that, an electrician.
Mhm.
Would contractor have to be DCAM qualified or
Depends on what, for the smaller projects, generally not.
not? Okay,
So, and that's where, once again, right, if you get up to a large enough project that requires DCAM, we are not gonna be able to use the emergency procurement.
exactly.
It's really set up to do small little projects or those emergency repairs that are, where people's, if we had a line that went down and we need to fix it and people's houses can't be heated because they don't have water and stuff, yeah, we want to just be able to act on those without having to worry about, this is getting too expensive, we need to
Yeah.
do that. So I think it'd be a good setup. We can put it together. We'll go out in the spring and line up somebody for next fiscal year.
Okay. Michael, you want to talk to us about future sewer connections funding through a betterment fee? If you could explain that to us.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking at our DPW meeting, just as things come up. Obviously, this board and the department heads are come up with their priorities from I to that. But if there's other priorities that individual areas in the town want to pursue, there are just other avenues, that we could assist with. And that could be everything from us trying to assist with a grant application, but say, if there's expansion of being allowed or something for whatever project, but if it had matching funds or a project was going to be funded completely on its own, one of the other options is called a betterment. So a betterment is right in the name that the houses that would pay for it would be the houses that are bettered by the project itself. So that can be, where the town goes out, bids it and the rest, but then you end up just filing the betterment against those individual homes. So if you want to do one area of the town and say, we're going to sewer it and people really want to do it, then you could end up filing betterments where then the project is done and basically there's an additional tax onto that properties in order to get that line or pump station or whatever's needed done.
So what commitment would the town have as far as monies?
Well, the town still would be fronting the money. But the betterment goes on your tax bill, so unless you're gonna risk your house, it's not an option of not paying it. It's very much similar to what Beechwood's done with its maintenance district, where it's a tax on top, the town collects it and that. Betterment would be the same, it'd be taking whatever loan cost there would be on the project and basically just redistributing it to those that are specifically bettered. So sometimes in really large, if you're only gonna better one street, is it the town's job to front those costs, or should it be the cost, especially when you're talking utilities specifically, where the cost is incurred by those that are on?
So let's take a scenario of 20 houses and it's $250,000.
But we go out and borrow for 10 years, the town commitment would be guaranteeing that we're gonna pay that. But then what we do is take what the interest and principal payments are on an annual basis divided by the 20 homes, and that would be an additional fee on their tax bill.
So the duration of that
Yeah,
tax, that additional
is only for the.
is for the 10 years of the.
Yep. Yeah, or 20 or however.
However long it would take, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just one of those options. It's done occasionally. If you have somebody A lot of times you see it around, somebody's, doing some type of subdevelopment, you gotta bring the sewer line up and you're gonna better all the homes along it and everything else. You know, I remember up in North Adams, there was one where it was developed where they were gonna put in a housing and then it was gonna expand the entire street and it was paid by the place that was putting it in and then the other people on the street that were better. So, you know, it's just an option to consider when sometimes we hear that, you know, if you guys have determined this and this, and you have some people that really would like it, well, one of the questions is, would that area be interested in a betterment?
So that's including engineering and everything.
Yeah.
Then you get that dollar figure.
And
So
then,
the town would get the engineering done, put it out to bid, get all the bid stuff done and secure obviously the funding.
And
And then,
20-year loan.
or whatever, yeah.
Break it down and buy 20 houses or whatever.
however many homes, so.
So the process to do the work, for example, say we want to do some street. Right? Joe's Street has 10 houses on it. I mean, and the bill would, you know, the contract would be for $250,000. That would still have to go through the town meeting process for approval.
Yeah, and we'd have to, it's still.
It's not
the town's running everything.
the community
But then
itself
how
wouldn't.
we're getting the money back is. Yeah.
Right, that's a checklist.
Yes.
The money's
we
coming
have to
back.
Clearly identify that, the rest go through all the legal process of filing the betterments against the homes for the life of the loan. You know, there could be some costs that, like, this board agrees to do the upfront, maybe some of the preliminary engineering to determine the rough cost estimates and stuff. So there might be some funds expended by the town to get to a point, but basically the majority cost of the construction of the actual project and the engineering oversight of the project, the rest would all be handled by the betterment. If it's something that this board has chosen is not a priority now, but there's a group that wants it to be a priority for their area.
Well, that's just my next concern is, you know, this neighborhood wants it. And then we do an engineering study and the numbers come out that are not conducive to what they want to pay.
Right.
Then essentially it's dead in the water.
It could end up dead in the water. It could be used as something to say, hey, we can get a grant for X, you know, maybe, you know, approach a MassWorks grant, or some other grant, and maybe you get, it's a $2 million project and you get $1 million. Well, now are they willing to put $1 million on it?
Mhm.
If there's 100 homes and it's 20-year borrowing, and so you divide by the years by the homes and the rest, everybody might be like, yeah, we're willing to do that to get that entire area. So.
That could apply to almost anything.
It can.
You want to pave a road or put in underground utilities or
Yeah,
whatever.
I've seen it done with roads where you basically have maybe a dirt road or something, the town's gonna take over this private dirt road. Well, we're gonna first pave it. We're gonna get it set, and we're gonna do that initial cost to the people that it's bettering. And then we'll take it over, and then from there on, it'll be the town's. But, you know, and that would be the same thing in this, obviously. The sewer system is gonna be a responsibility. It's gonna have costs, future costs down the road, because it is the town taking up, doing it. It's just, where's that initial payment coming from? So basically we don't have to rule out any project. We can look at what the options are. And it might be, you know, whether or not it's using funds from sewer, going after grants or betterments or whatever, you know, you guys will choose obviously where you think the town's funds should be directed. And that might be more around our infrastructure and info. But it still means we can explore other options if areas really want us to look at it and get I mean, like you pointed out, the DPC one for Glendale Road was only, and gave us a good idea of what it would cost to do what it's needed. So, you know, to do a $10,000 study, say for one area in town and say, yeah, here's a rough cost of what it would take to do this. And now we explore what are the feasible options, knowing that you guys have established your priorities, which might not be that, and say, okay, well, here's our options. We can explore a couple grants and we can look at a betterment. or a combination. A lot of times it's a combination of things that go into it.
So say there was a demand for expansion of the sewer or water system in a certain area, community serving, whatever, 20 houses or whatever. What are the possible ways that that project could be brought forward to the town? Could it be a citizens group? Would it have to come through sewer and water? Could it just be, some petition to the selectmen to consider this? I mean, how would that?
I think a petition to the selectmen, it would most likely get kicked back to the sport to look at, is this a priority project from the water and sewer? And it's going to be recommended to the selectmen to be funded by grants, to be funded by the sewer user account? Is it going to be funded by town funds? Or is it going to be considered, something like a betterment or a combination of a whole bunch? So I would just say it would just be keeping keeping all the ideas open. So when people come to us and say, well, what's the chances of doing this? Well, how do you want to approach this? If you're talking about, do you just want the town to pick it up 100%? It might be like, well, that's 10 or 20 years from now. You want it done in the next few years, here's a couple options. We could explore X, Y, and Z. There's certain money, transportation bonds, or, at times there's been money for expansion of sewer and water, specifically programs that the state has offered, or the feds. And then, of course, binding it with anything else. I'm just saying, it allows us to keep our eyes and ears open and just hear from people about what they are, and then hearing if these are options they'd like to pursue, understanding that, that they might be different than priorities that this board has established for water and sewer.
And I would think that the select board would definitely want us to be directly involved with this.
Yeah, I would say.
Knowing the history of our boards.
Yeah.
John, any?
No, I think that's reasonable. I think that Mike explained it very well. So,
Yeah, it's nice to have
Yeah.
another option.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Update on Everglades study. Is there anything more going on with that, Mike?
Just doing the samples. They're coming out Friday. We're gonna drill holes out on the reservoir. They want to do some samples out there, and we're gonna do those 14 wells in the spring, I guess. They want to wait. So when we get to that point, I'll have me and Christine can sit down and let people know what day we're gonna come by and get samples from their well water.
Okay, good. Engineering, I know that we signed a contract with the engineering on Elm and Maple.
Yeah, Elm Maple, we really haven't heard anything, I don't think.
So that's,
The only thing I've heard from them, I had a Thursday call in regarding the last little piece of our pump station with our flash drive. Last Thursday, they just said that when the weather breaks, they'll let us know when they can get a survey team, and they want to do some borings. So I'm assuming that'll be like in April. I don't think they're going to be out unless March yields some really nice weather, So I imagine they'll be hitting the ground running probably in April on that, if I had to guess.
okay, so we'll leave that
Yeah.
off the agenda for a while. Okay.
This is DPI. DPC.
Yeah.
Okay, engineering, discuss sewer and water budgets. Mike, you want to just,
Yeah, so I haven't met with Mike yet, but we're gonna meet on my budget soon. Mine didn't look very much. We've got some special articles that we are working on or is submitted. One we talked about with the truck. And I sent you guys an email stating that we did have the policy adopted by the selectmen about using hybrid or electric vehicles. So we certainly fall into that category.
Yeah,
So we're gonna go with a hybrid vehicle. And we got an article set, water and sewer are gonna split the cost of the vehicle 50-50. So, and there's a couple other articles I have, we gotta clean the Marion Father's water tank.
right,
We gotta add some monies to the article that we did last year for the loading dock stairs. Prices I got came in higher. And I really don't want to attack the regular operating budget when we're in budget season. We'll just add some money to it. Because they can't do the project until summertime anyway, because it involves concrete and whatnot, so. And then I was thinking, I sent you an email, I don't know if you saw it. I was thinking of maybe 5 more fire hydrants, if we'll see where we'll see where the numbers lie. But we can, because this spring I want to put 6 hydrants in and figured we might as well, if we can, get more, and then, because it takes months to get them. I ordered those hydrants the day after town meeting approval, and we didn't get them until late October. It takes a long time to get anything.
Well, I think replacing the hydrants are a good idea.
Or
Placement,
no new ones.
brand new.
No additional.
No, no.
No, it's strictly replacement.
Yeah. Getting the old non-traffic models out, and ones that are just the old Eddies with the drain rods, and you got them open and the water's boiling up the back. They're so finicky, and some of them just, we toy with them. And so they
So
would,
the 5 obviously that you'll
Oh, yeah.
replace.
yeah. We got 140 of them, so there's no shortage of trying to get them upgraded. We got a lot of new ones, don't get me wrong, but there's some that need, and they're in areas where the traffic is quite close and could be, if they get hit, it breaks the water main in the ground rather than, cleaning the top off like.
So you want to push it back. Yeah.
There's probably not a lot of room for an additional article.
Okay, that's fine.
At some point, I can come to this board and I can show you how we do now the rate justification. Something that was brought up a couple of years ago that we need to be able to explain exactly what goes into our rate and how we come up with it. And we created a threshold between 85 and 100% of expenses toward income coming in. Right now, based on, so at the end of the year, you take whatever's left over from the previous year and you either appropriate it or it gets counted as revenue toward the following year. And then you can use that to calculate if you're within the margins. If we get below, if income is, if our expenses are less than 85% of our income, then we need to lower the rates. And if our expenses are exceeding our revenues, then we need to raise the rates. Right now, I have you at 93, Tony's at 87%. So we're in that threshold. You want to have a little bit of return cash.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to create too much. I know once I was able to show Tony, it's not something you can really explain, but I can show you how it works. Throw it up on the screen, show you how, just by calculating and putting it in, you can tell. The good news is if we keep with what we've asked right now, we can leave the rates as they are for another year. So I do know that water is getting closer to possibly the next few years of having to maybe up the rates a little bit, but it'll all be based on a full calculation and justification. People take care. So.
Okay. Tony?
So I have submitted my budget for, excuse me, FY '26. As Mike spoke, we are on target with our numbers, so we are in a good spot to be able to have a few special articles. Number one being the truck. Number two, I appropriated some sum of money to refurbish all 4 pumps at the 2 20-plus-year-old pump stations. So that's another special article, and a considerable amount of money will go into our existing sewer line replacement that we already have. So, the target that we have that we're hitting with our rates is very ample to sustain some small capital projects without having to raise them. So
Good.
we're in a good spot.
Excellent. Good. Okay, Tony and Mike, your concerns, I know I talked to, both of you guys the other day, and you had an issue with the furnace up at the pump station.
Yeah.
How are we doing with that? Oh, boy.
It's been replaced.
Oh,
The the one that we had there, they couldn't fix it.
Good enough.
So it was, the guy, instead of, he said begging for forgiveness was easier. So he said, I ordered you, I got another one coming tomorrow. It was a long weekend trying to relight it and just make sure we had heat up there. We had anyway, it's all in. It looks great. It's not gonna be I think he said around $6,000 for a brand. It's just a little hot air. It's not hydronic or anything crazy. It just blows hot air into the building. So, my budget is in good shape. It shouldn't hurt. We got plenty of money to pay for it. So there was no other, it was 25, 27 years old, the furnace, something like that, we think Tony and I figured it was like 25 or 27 years old. So, and one of the tubes went on it and the controls, it was in bad shape. There was no sense in fixing it. So they did order the next size up, it looks the same to me, but,
Yeah.
So it's been replaced. They replaced it last Friday.
Is that a propane fuel?
Yeah, it's propane. Yeah. It's a small Goodman.
And the chimney and everything, that was okay.
Yeah, that's all that metal asbestos, and they're gonna replace the cap on the top. It almost looks like, I don't know, something like exploded. Because the cap on the top of the chimney was half on, and the inside of it, I mean, it's like black, it's black. It was running so rich, the soot that was coming out of it, so. And when it was running, it was like you didn't want to leave because it wasn't really pretty, so. It's good to have it.
It was time.
It was time.
That's a good move.
Yeah, so, and I thought we were gonna have to try to baby it through the winter, but there was no baby in it. It just had to get,
But you were lighting with a lighter and stuff.
Yeah.
Crazy. That was the old days.
so we're all set in that regard, yeah.
Tony?
No real concerns. The plant, fortunately, we've only had a couple days this past month below zero, so the ice has been minimal, outside ice forming, and we did have a slight heat issue with at the wastewater treatment plant. One of our just circulator pumps went, but it was John Van Zandt fixed it, and it was a minimal amount of money. Just a circulator pump on the hydronic line, that pumps the water through the system. Other than that, the plant's holding up this winter.
Great. It's good.
We'll be going out to bid, as Mike spoke about, the end of May, the end of mid-June or so for our sludge bid. So,
And probably, hopefully the same guy will.
yes, I'm hoping. He's been our service guy. He's been a good service for us for 20 plus years.
Yeah, good. Trying to do something else I was going to ask about. That's one thing. The project, thinking about Marian Fathers and the bedroom fee that we charge them, or we charge $450 a bedroom. Now, our initial thing is we have $450 a bedroom up to 6 bedrooms.
Right.
Correct.
On a residential.
Yeah, on a residential. So maybe because it's not on the agenda, maybe we should put on the agenda for next month to talk about the fee for additional bedrooms on a project, and also the connection fee. Our connection fee is what, Tony, you said $100, not connection fee, application.
Yeah, we could do that. We spoke about that at our meeting this afternoon. With regards to our rates and everything, I think we're in a good spot where we don't need to raise them. That was my initial thought, but kind of talking to Mike and Christine this afternoon, we came to the conclusion that we're in a good spot.
We'll leave it alone. Good.
That's what we came up with. I did raise the concern, but it didn't turn into one.
Okay. That's great. So, and without further ado, anyone? John, Peter, someone want to make a motion?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
So move. Thank you, everyone.